Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me again.
Hi.
This is for the third time.
Right?
Third time's a charm. Okay. So we left off last session. We were talking about your work position and how you feel so confident when you walk into work. You feel like you know you've got this. You know what to expect. You know how everything was gonna do. But what I really was gonna ask is, what is important to you outside of your work? When you come home, why does that confidence and that confidence and those leadership skills just kind of fall to the wayside when you walk out of work?
I guess when my parents bought a house with us because my mother's extremely sick. Well, she's not extremely sick anymore. She was. So we ended up buying a house together so that I could take care of her. And growing up, it was always, as a woman, you were a gentler, kinder person to your husband because he was the breadwinner. He was the one that brought home the bacon, basically. And he was the hard worker. My mother raised me to be an independent woman, not to rely on anybody else, to include my husband. And when my husband and I fight, or we have a disagreement about something, or I'm upset with him for something that he does, I get told, you're wrong, you need to back off, and you need to stop. So I personally feel that it has slowly stopped me from asserting myself as an independent woman. A confident
Your mother tells you that?
Yes.
Oh.
I feel like it stopped me from asserting myself as a confident, independent woman who knows what she wants and knows what's important to her. My priorities are, and here's part of my problem with school, my priorities are my husband and son, work, school. But I need to find that happy medium where they're all pretty equal at this point because there's just...
I think we're all struggling with that right now.
Yeah.
But back to, the confidence thing when you come back, or when you come home, do you feel that is a role you must take on, or do you feel like that is a part of who you are?
I'm not that soft-spoken, timid girl. I'm not. I never will be. I think it's a role that I take on because that's the way I was told I needed to be. You don't argue with your husbands. They're right. And that's not me. If I know I'm right about something, I'm going to argue with you until I'm blue in the face, until you understand my side of things or you understand my point. And I don't know. It's just been, that's the way it's been.
You think that behavior is helpful towards you when you go home?
No.
To put on that soft-spoken kind of reserve?
No, I don't. I think it's causing me some anxiety, some angst in my life, so to speak.
Do you think... I feel like the perception you have of a good... Like, the perception you're telling me is, like, the good wife is going to be soft and going to be soft and spoken and reserved, and you're not gonna be that leader. You're not gonna, you're very much like, I'm gonna hide kind of behind my husband. But then when you go to work, your perception is, I am it. Like, this is what I need to do. I am gonna be the first one there. Like, leadership all the way. And I'm definitely hearing seeing two different sides of you. But I don't know which one's you. Do you know which one's you?
I don't necessarily know which. I know this much about myself. I am generally forward, to the point. Generally very able to tell people how I feel. Generally my inner circle. I tend not to let the outside world know what makes me tick. I do know that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm so afraid of rejection that there are nights I go home and I cry myself to sleep because of it.
Rejection from
people in general, other relationships, friendships
Your
mostly. No, I mean my husband and I have had issues, and at one point, I did everything that I could to destroy my marriage. And he's still there, so the odds of there being rejection from him are pretty slim at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't reject me then, he's certainly not going to reject me now.
Mm-hmm.
And is it important to me to have other relationships besides my husband?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I need to feel that connection with other
Mm-hmm.
people. If I don't have it, I look poorly on myself. Not necessarily, you know, you can't help what other people think of you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think about it that way. I think of it as what am I doing wrong to not foster this relationship and not get this friendship? And at 42, I shouldn't feel that way. I mean, I'm 42. I have a lot of life experience.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to just say, well, if you don't like me, you don't like me. And that's just the way it is, but I don't, and I can't. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to become that confident person. That person would say, well, not everybody's going to like you, so hey.
But do you like you?
I do like me.
You do?
I do, generally. I mean,
generally?
there are days where I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you know, you're not what I expected myself to be as a kid. I expected myself to be a professional, career, business-driven woman at this point. I wanted so much more out of my life, and life took some crazy turns, and I stopped going to school when I was young, and I didn't go back to school until 2012. I mean, and I was 38, and I graduated with my bachelor's at 40. As a kid, I expected to have my bachelor's by the time I was 22. Be either working getting my doctorate, I guess, by the time I was 30, and in psychology. Originally, that's what I wanted to do, was psychology, and then I said teaching, and everything changed, and some issues upset the apple cart, and I decided that professional career wasn't for me. I went to be an emergency medical technician. Not that it's not a professional career, but it is. But it's not where I expected to be, and I think I'm very hard on myself when it comes to stuff like that. I guess I just expected more. I expected to be a totally different place than what I am now. I mean, I'm getting there. At 42, I finally decided what I wanted out of life, and that's why I'm here. But why did it take me so long to get there? Why
does that matter?
I think personally it gives me more insight to who I am as a person, and some of the things that I've dealt with throughout my lifetime define me as a person. And I don't think that's right. I don't think our past should define us, but I personally feel that my past does define me, and I need to find a way to get past that.
What about your past defines you? That you didn't graduate at 22, or that you...
I mean, it's more than that. I went away, when I graduated high school, I went away to school. I put my faith and trust in people that I knew at the school, and I got betrayed. Horribly. Date raped, and sent home. Not sent home, but I came home, because I just couldn't deal with it.
That's a lot.
I didn't deal with it when I came home. I didn't deal with it till I found out he was being released from jail. And that was probably 12 years later. It's still recording. And that was probably 12 or 15 years later. I don't even remember how long it was later.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you. I mean, it was a stupid choice on my part. I take partial responsibility for it. Because we were at a frat party drinking, and I happened to be with my boyfriend, but ended up getting date raped by somebody else that I knew.
But that's not your fault at all.
That's what my previous counselor said to me. And then I need to stop. I need to stop blaming myself.
It's not to take partial blame on someone else's actions. Like, no.
Yeah. Had I, I keep telling myself that had I not been standing in that particular spot that I was, because there was only one bathroom, there was a whole lot of us waiting for the bathroom, and had I not struck up a conversation with my friend and put my drink down, I wouldn't have had an issue. Had I just kept my drink in my hand and kept an eye on it, I wouldn't have had a problem. But I know I need to stop blaming myself for it.
It's not something to blame yourself for.
Yeah.
It's really not. I mean, people who do that kind of thing to other people are terrible people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
They're awful people, but I think what's worse is for you to carry that around with you. I think that is really awful.
It's been it's hard. I don't know how. I mean, and we're talking 30 years ago.
Right.
Not even 30 years ago. I don't know how to just, like my mom used to tell me, take all those emotions and all those feelings and all those incidents and put them in a box and put them in the back of your head. I just leave them there. But unfortunately, that lid opens up occasionally, and it comes screaming out. Ah!
I mean, that is not something that you can just throw into a box under your bed or in your brain and be like, oh no, it's fine, I got it. I mean, that's something that is huge. You know, that's something that you should be able to deal with. You need to deal with it. Because now it's filtering out, whether you're going to realize it or not.
I think that's part of my rejection issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I'm supposed to agree with you because I'm a therapist right now, but absolutely. But I'm serious. I'm being serious with you. Is like having that thrust upon you, telling yourself, well, if I didn't set my drink down, that's like saying I'm in a car wreck and if I didn't stop, or if I wasn't driving, I wouldn't have gotten in the wreck.
Good point.
So, yeah, you were driving the car, but I wasn't the other person. I wasn't driving that car that came into me.
Right.
It's not my fault. I stopped. He didn't.
Yeah.
When you look at
I
your
had no
own,
control. It was a drug type use.
So why is that your fault?
It's not.
But is it really not? Because it sounds to me like you don't know if it is or not.
I mean, I guess deep down inside I know it's not my fault, and I was totally not in control of that situation.
Right.
And I want to say that's part of my problem. I'm a very type A person. I need to be in control of things, and that was stripped from me. And not being able to control what goes on around me, what I do as a result, weighs very, very heavy on me and weighs me down. It happens at work, it happens at home. We adopted our son, and he was addicted to crack cocaine when he was born. And I wasn't able to control that. I wasn't able to control what was happening to him. I wasn't able to control how I felt about it. I wasn't able to control any of it, and
Still not sure exactly.
this little tiny being controlled my type A personality. As much as I love my child, I would never wish that on anybody. It was worse watching this little 7-pound, 21-ounce baby, 21 inch long, go through withdrawals. And
does it make you feel safer when you have control of it? Because of what happened?
it makes me think, like, if anything goes wrong, if anything is going to go wrong, I can control that from happening. I can stop that from happening. So safe is probably a good word. I feel in control. I feel like
I haven't gotten to the point where it's traditional yet.
I can dictate what's going to happen. And when I don't have that, it's not a good feeling at all. I don't like being out of control. And it started when I was 18 and it hasn't changed since. I was completely out of control that night, and I guess at this point it has affected my life so much that I didn't even realize it. There's a lot of reasons why I do the things that I do, and it's probably the main one. Anything I could control, anything I can
for set hours. And
That's why I tried to push my husband away.
pretty much similar to what
Because I could control that. It was,
It's a lot more focused.
I could make him so miserable that he would go and find somebody that would make him happy.
But you're controlling that.
I
Hmm.
think it's
Well, I was trying to.
like a line.
You were still controlling it though.
Yeah.
Like that,
I didn't give him the option.
She's
Right.
she's constantly
You spoke for
issues
him.
like that.
Yeah.
She's dealing with
I
them.
did.
She knows issues.
Mhm.
Before she didn't really have too much of
I honestly have no idea why he still reigns, honestly. With all the things that I've done, but
But now she's
I know that he loves me.
Mhm.
focused, but you know, she knows where her priorities are.
With your personal change project, do you feel like the control of food, eating too much of it, eating however much you want, or not eating this, not eating that,
Quite a
is
lot.
part of it as well? What do you think about
Wakes
that?
up, does her morning exercise, goes to training. She used to be
I don't
well,
necessarily,
she's a little bit-
I don't think I think about it. I think
Mhm.
I don't know exactly
it's weird because
but
I like to be in control of
she explains
90% of my life,
having a caregiver would be-
95% of my life, but when it comes to me emotionally eating and overeating, I think I'm out of control at that point.
do rigorous
And I can't control what I'm putting in my mouth. I can't control the emotion that goes with it and the security I feel from eating a gigantic bowl of pasta or
But are you in charge of yourself when you're eating that?
I mean, I am. Well, it's a good question. Never really thought about it. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing that I'm letting the food control things for me.
And how does that affect the outcome that you want? Gross.
It causes me to feel
Is it helpful?
no,
I mean, I know what I want, but
not at all.
want
If
everything.
it causes me to
want
feel bad,
everything to be as
feel
simple
worse about
as
myself.
being able to do it all. It's just not
I mean, I'm not
realistic.
bulimic or anorexic or anything. I
Right.
don't go and vomit it back up
Right,
or anything,
right,
but
right.
I mean, there are nights where I've gotten myself sick because I've eaten too much,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it's been better since April. I mean, I have been able to control what I'm eating. I eat a lot more protein. I eat a lot more vegetables. I've cut back on the amount of carbohydrates I'm eating in general. This weekend has been bad because
I think it's bad for everybody.
completely out of my element. But in general,
You can't control the weekend.
yeah. Like I had to have a cannoli last night with dinner. I just had to. In general, I think I've gotten better control of how I see food and how I
Mhm.
perceive it and what it's there for. It's there for nutrition. It's not
Mhm.
there for comfort. And I've always used it as a comfort as opposed to for nutrition,
Right.
what it's really meant for.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting better with it, but I think I have some underlying issues that I need to address in order to really get.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, you said for comfort, when you eat, you feel very, like you're being comforted by that substance or the taste or whatever it is. You feel, like, okay, I'm comforted by that. But have you ever allowed anything else to comfort you in your life?
No,
Why?
because
Why can't somebody be allowed to comfort you?
I guess because I'm afraid that they're going to reject me. I mean, the only person I know that hasn't is my husband, and he does the best that he can
Mhm.
with comforting me and
Mhm.
making me feel better about me. I mean, he's really bad at telling me I'm beautiful. He's really bad at giving compliments and stuff like that because it's just not him.
Yeah.
But as far as, and that's probably what I'm missing, that need to be told that I'm beautiful, that need to be told that I'm a good person, I have a good soul.
Do you think you have a good soul?
Most times.
Most times.
Most times. I mean, everybody has their days where they're not exactly happy with themselves or not exactly happy with who they've become.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have my days. I tend to get in my car and drive and turn my music way up and take a moment for myself to try to reflect on what's bothering me. But there are days I can't even do that. There are days I just can't even get out of bed because I'm just so down on me. It's not a lot. It's not often. It happens though, occasionally. Once a month or so-ish. I have that day where I'm so over it that I just don't even want to deal with anything. But I know I have to.
You're so over what?
Just everything, the stress, the pressure. Dealing with my mother's sickness. I mean, she's better, but she's not fully, she'll never be fully right again. Dealing with CJ, who is super smart, and even with everything that he's gone through in his little life, he's extremely smart. But he has this angry side of him that we're trying to control at this point, and that's they're telling me that that's from the drug use during the pregnancy. And I guess trying to deal with that, trying to deal with my feelings about the drug use while she was pregnant with him, it makes me extremely angry because I was helping contribute to it. Because every time she called me for money, I would give it, just because I didn't want her to turn around and say.
But you know his mom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A friend of mine who I work with, it's her sister. She got pregnant. She was prostitute. She was a drug user. And she called me and said, listen, I know you and Jeff can't have kids. I know you've been looking to adopt but can't afford it. This might be an affordable option for you guys. Do you want to do this? We talked and decided we were going to do that. I didn't want Megan turning around and pulling, because she has up until 48 hours after he's born to pull the carpet right out from underneath us and turn around and say no. So I did everything so that I didn't give her a chance to say no. She needed money. I ran to her with money. She needed food. I ran to her with food. She needed anything. I gave it to her. And I found out.
You controlled the situation.
Yeah. I found out the night he was born, when I held him in my arms and nearly dropped him because I was shaking so bad. I was crying and shaking so bad. When they took him to go check him out, and we went, they actually let us stay at the hospital. She was in a totally separate area than we were, well, separate rooms. We were down the hallway from each other, but separate rooms. He spent his time with us, which was great.
Yeah, that's good.
But he was screaming. I mean, from almost the minute they brought him into the room to the minute we left, shaking the whole 9 yards, and that's when I found out that she had been using drugs. She told us for the last 3 months. When they scored him for the NICU, he didn't score high enough to be kept. He scored a 7 out of 8 to be kept. So they sent us home with this infant going through withdrawal symptoms, not telling us what to do, not telling us how to handle it, and just let us go and say, here, deal with it. And I found out probably 2 weeks later that she had not only used it throughout the entire pregnancy. When I took her to the hospital, because she was supposed to get in, she was 2 centimeters dilated, and they wanted to really check her out because she was starting to show some complications. And they sent her home. That afternoon she went home and did crack cocaine, and it induced her labor. And she went into labor that day. And she had him 3 hours later.
She high when she had him?
Yeah. Yeah. So he would have been taken from her anyway.
Right,
But
right.
she was high as a kite. And you know, I'm so angry with her that I can't even look at her, let alone let her see her son, her birth son. He's my son, but let her see him. I will never, ever let her within.
Does she still talk to you?
She has tried, and I ignore her phone calls. I ignore her texts. I've blocked her phone number now because I just don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that contact.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister is a friend of mine, and CJ sees her because they're her nephew.
Right.
She's a cop, so I know she's a good person. She's got kids of her own, and I want the cousins to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want Megan in his life at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not after this. And she's since had 2 more kids that she's had ripped from her because she was high as a kite. Yeah. So my son now has 2 siblings, 2 brothers out there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just, I guess this all boils down to my need to control things. I guess that's what we're honing in on that. My need to control things.
A little bit,
right?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think I need to learn to let go and let God.
Mm-hmm. I dealt with not actually similar, but control issues when I was throughout college, and kind of the same thing because I never had a choice when I was growing up where we were moving to. Went to 3 different high schools in 3 different countries. I had no say in anything, so my control was no control. So I kind of have the same, like going through life of like if I don't control something, then it's just gonna go haywire, and it's important to not only trust yourself, but learn to accept that things are gonna happen in life that there's no control over. Like that is something it took me so long to learn was I can't. My control is having no control. Right. This is kind of weird because I didn't have control over my life. But at the same point, like I did control certain things in my life so tightly wound that no one else could touch it. And then that spiraled me even further,
right.
And I had to go through this time in my life where I had to really kind of reevaluate where I was going. What was I doing? Because for the first time in my life, I could make decisions.
That's where I'm at right now.
And the first time in my life, I could make these decisions that no one else could tell me no about, or no one else could make them for me, or I wasn't being shuffled from place to place to place, from house to house to house, from groups of friends here, groups of friends to there,
right.
And I made the wrong ones. I made tons of wrong decisions in college, like awful. But I mean, it in my I guess my young adult life, or I feel like I'm finally grown up, but I'm getting there. Still not all the way, but that has kind of filtered into where I'll catch myself of like getting really bad, like okay, I can't control that, and I kind of have to stop myself and be like, okay, that's okay, because whatever's gonna happen, I'm gonna handle it,
right?
And letting go, and it's so freeing to realize that I'm not gonna be able, no matter how hard I try, I cannot control some things. No matter how much I want to, I can't control that. I'm gonna have to just breathe. I'm just gonna have to take time for myself, get my mind right, pray, meditate. Those things are so beneficial in my life to understand that this aspect of control was really more of me being afraid of what was gonna happen. And you can't, and I couldn't in my life walk around with that feeling. I didn't want to walk around being afraid anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important it was important for me to realize that controlling something is not going to keep things from happening. Things are going to happen whether you try to control them or not. It's a false sense of security to sit there and try to control everything. Because it was not, even though I did try to control some things, I prevented some things, but would it have been that bad if those things had happened? No. Would I have died? No. God, I hope not.
Right?
But it's just a sense of control can be addicting. It can be addicting. It was for me for a long time.
Yeah, it's fine. I think I want everything to be so perfect that I feel the need to control everything to make sure that it's perfect. And it will never be perfect. And I want to give, like, take CJ.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Colton John. We call him CJ. So if you take him, I want to give him all the things that I never had as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to take him to the Grand Canyon. I want to take him to explore the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to grow up knowing that he could achieve and do anything in the world that he wants to do. And that's partly my reasoning for going back to school, because I want him to see that
Mm-hmm.
no matter how old you get, it doesn't matter. You can still do what you want to do.
Right.
As long as you have the wherewithal and as long as you have the oomph to go and get it. You just
Mhm.
got to go for it and get it. But I need to understand that there are just things I will not be able to control in his life. And I need to learn how to accept that.
Mm.
And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to learn how to accept I don't control everything. People.
Yeah.
People's reactions, people's feelings, my own reactions, my own feelings. I mean, I can control them a little bit, but what's going to happen is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much I can do about it.
So moving forward, what would be helpful for you to kind of release some of that control?
I'm wondering if maybe starting to journal might help. You know, I can get out how I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
at the time when I feel like I'm losing control,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what exactly I'm feeling at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe learning how to adjust that, learning how to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe going back to the gym might be a good idea too.
What would the gym provide?
Well, no, exercise produces endorphins, and endorphins make us happy.
And happy people don't kill their husbands.
Right? I think it would give me, it would give me a sense of control over something, you know.
In a healthy-ish way.
Yes, in a healthier way than what I'm dealing with now, than how I'm dealing with it now. I would be able to, you know.
I think it's important to, you know, I totally, like, I like going to the gym myself. I'm definitely one of those people, like, you know, I think, but sometimes be very weary of substitutions for things, too. You don't want to substitute one for the other, you know.
Right.
Be very cautious